Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to make a statement about the devastating attack that took place in Southport yesterday morning. It's difficult to comprehend or to put into words the horror of what happened. These were young children dancing to Taylor Swift and celebrating the start of the school holidays. What should have been a joyful start to the summer turned into an unspeakable tragedy. 3 young children have lost their lives. BB King, age 6, Elsie Stankham, age 7, and Alice da Silva Aguiar, age 9. The police have released some words that Alice's family have said. Keep smiling and dancing like you love to do, our princess. 6 other children and 2 adults are being treated still for their injuries in hospital. And the whole House and the whole country is united in shock and in grief, and together we send our thoughts, our prayers and deepest condolences to everybody who has been affected by these terrible events. This morning I joined the Merseyside Chief Constable, Chief Fire Officer, Police and Crime Commissioner, and my right honourable friend, the MP for Southport, to lay flowers on the street of the attack. And the Prime Minister has been in Southport with the Mayor of the Liverpool City region this afternoon. I also met this morning with some of the first responders, the police, the North West Ambulance Service and Merseyside Fire and Rescue, who arrived at an unimaginably distressing scene yesterday and who responded with heroic professionalism. Aided by passers-by, NHS workers and off-duty emergency workers who heard the calls of distress and ran to help. As the police officers said to me when we spoke, they do these jobs knowing they can be called upon in the toughest of times, but nothing still can prepare you for an attack on little children. And I want to recognise the toll that that can take. Those emergency workers were back at work yesterday. They live locally. And some of them had been to the dance centre in the past with their own children or relatives, but they wanted to be out in their own community, continuing to serve and support the people of Southport. That is public service at its very best. Yeah. I also offer my sincere thanks to everyone in the NHS, with hospitals across the region tending to the victims and supporting their families right now. And to Sefton Council, Merseyside Police and Family Liaison Officers who are already working to provide extensive support to the victims' families and to the community. And this morning I met with staff from Victim Care, the Samaritans and local youth workers who are also already providing local support to those who need it. The Home Office and the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government stand ready to support them and work with them as they deal with the distressing aftermath of this terrible attack. Merseyside Police are now leading an extremely serious criminal investigation. They're being supported by counter-terrorism police. And so far, Merseyside Police have confirmed they were called to the dance studio just before noon yesterday morning, where 13 people had been attacked, 11 children and 2 adults who tried to prevent the attack. And they arrested a 17-year-old male at the scene. The police have said they are not looking for anyone else in connection with the attack, and they do not believe there is an ongoing threat. As you have rightly reminded the House, Mr. Speaker, this is an ongoing investigation. It must not be impeded or compromised in any way. That means all of us have a responsibility not to do or say anything to cut across or prejudice the criminal investigation. We must let the police do their job, and they have my full backing in that task. Yeah. And more than that, we must show respect for the families. Where there are updates, Merseyside Police work hard to try to provide information first to the families, even though that is not easy or not always easy or possible. Likewise, it is extremely important that people don't spread damaging misinformation online. False information has already been extensively shared in the last 24 hours. Those who do this for their own purposes risk undermining a crucial criminal investigation. And I ask everyone to show some respect for the community in Southport and for families who are grieving and in trauma. In these dark and difficult moments, the police must be able to get on with their work, and communities must be given the time and space to grieve and heal without outside voices seeking to use events to stir up division or advance their own views. There will be other questions that flow as the investigation develops. We will doubtless, in the days ahead, discuss terrible violence and its causes. The investigation will, of course, pursue any contact the suspect may or may not have had with different agencies before the incident took place. And Southport will no doubt be in our minds when we debate Martin's Law as part of the King's speech. But for today, the most important focus of all must be the injured children, the grieving and traumatised families, and the people of Southport who are in shock at what has happened. Tonight, people from across Southport are gathering for a community vigil. When I visited this morning, many people were gathering at Southport Football Club, which had thrown its doors open for the community, and where youth workers told me they were determined to keep supporting Southport children with events this summer. And I hope everybody will recognise the sense of community and solidarity of the people of Southport who have come together to support each other in the most terrible of times. The words of one paramedic have stayed with me, and he described how terrible it was when he arrived and how despairing he felt, but also how proud he was of his colleagues and passers-by who pulled together to help. And he said that while facing the very worst of times, he could also see around him in his colleagues and passers-by who were working together to save lives, the very best of humanity. And that is what we keep in our hearts as we think of Southport, as we think of the grieving families, and most of all, our thoughts are with the little children, and we keep them in our prayers tonight. I commend this statement to the House.